we're one of the biggest platforms out there. And we dominate the restaurant business for sure. There's no competitor. We're 85% or more in the market share. But outside of that, we're now breaking into 4 other business units. So one of them is movies, one is delivery, 外卖, and then the other one is hotel. On top of it is other lifestyle. So those are the 4 additional verticals that we're trying to expand into. So just a couple of examples. Shopping. So most people think about shopping is either online shopping using Taobao or offline shopping going to a store. But what about driving traffic from online, understanding what's happening in the store and driving that to the store? And that's what we're doing with shopping. We're working with shopping malls, we're working on fashion brands, and really try to give them more traffic and more attention to their inventory. So O2O is a easy but yet complicated area. So in terms of concept, it's very easy. You're talking about online to offline. But in terms of implementation, it's difficult because everything has an offline element to it. So in order to penetrate the market, you must have a good, we'll call it the ground troop, meaning a lot of associates and salespeople on the ground and actually working with the merchants individually. Just a couple of numbers. We have 20,000 associates on the ground in our newly combined company. And they cover now 3 million merchants offline. So to have that size and market, we need to have a very efficient business model and how we operate. We're highly combined into Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, and then Tier 3, Tier 4 cities. Tier 1 and Tier 2 are slightly more mature markets. They're bigger in population, and the number of categories that we can operate is more. And people are probably higher income on average, and they are capable of spending more. So we want to give them more selection, and that's what we're doing. In Tier 3 and Tier 4, it's really about the high frequency areas. For example, restaurants and delivery and maybe movies are the areas that we're trying to hit. diaosi to us really doesn't mean the migrant workers or the farmers. Actually, the diaosi population to us really means that people that are probably in the 20s and the early 30s, people that actually have an average income of 5,000 to 8,000 RMB, and people that actually have a preference of quality, reasonable price, and also trendiness. Okay, and that's how we define diaosi. And when you look at that segment of the population, it's massive. The one reason that we care about the diaosi market is the potential. So the focus into diaosi market happened about 2-3 years ago when the luxury brand sales starting to taper off or even starting to drop. They're finding that the higher end user base is now fully penetrated. So in order to get more revenue, all the businesses are still starting to look at what is the next big segment. And diaosi turn out to be the next big segment. So in my opinion, O2O is a massive, massive market. So we have not nearly penetrated a big segment of it yet. So in terms of numbers, we believe that the O2O entire market is in Chinese called 1 亿. Okay, 1 亿, I think it's in the trillions. I can't really translate it in the proper US number, but more like 5 trillion RMB or 50 trillion RMB. So that is a massive, massive market. The current penetration is in the hundreds of billions. So there's still a lot of potential in the O2O market. So we don't think that we have occupied that space yet, but rather for the newcomers to come in and be profitable or have the right business model, they need to penetrate the vertical markets. For example, like the wedding industry or the education industry, they really need to get into a particular industry, understand how it works, and then providing right services. I think the concept of a global company is well ingrained in the corporate world. But what you're seeing is a standardization, a global standardization, which doesn't work in China. So in my previous employer, we're trying to implement the same standard across all the countries. And in China, it works slightly differently. They have a different type of people, they have different preferences, they even have a different social platform, like WeChat versus Facebook. So you really can't just copy and paste your current operation and procedures into a slightly different market. So my first point is really you need to better understand how the market works and then create solutions that can work in the local space. And to do that, I think you really need to have a very strong local team. That team people that ideally actually are nationals, they actually understand the market, they need to know how it works, and also they need to have given enough autonomy. I don't think that's happening a lot yet. And outside of autonomy, I think it's really trust and communication. A lot of decision making are long drawn out. I think a lot of them are unnecessary, but given the global situation, a lot of things have to be decided by the headquarters and take months to execute and then implement in the market. Where a local company will make decision by the hour, will make solution in days, and we execute it in weeks. So if you compare that with the overseas company model, I think it's really hard for the US company to come in and operate effectively if they don't build a strong local team and allow the strong local team to compete.